All right, welcome back to another episode of Clean Winners. You can see we have Kyle gracing us again with his presence. Are you going to keep the hair blonde or are you going to let the roots grow out and have just the tips like it's the early 2000s?
I was looking at the Joe Burrow look, but I realized I can't throw a football as good as he can, so I'm going to go back to the blonde look. I've got it scheduled for next week. So for those three, probably my mom included, watching us on YouTube, the blonde hair will be back. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Oh, let's go, dude. I like that. You're committed to the craft here, and we're going to see it all the way through. Oh, God. Well, a few things on the weekend, a couple things I wanted to touch on. I have a rant or two, and then I'll let you get back to it. It Look, the first thing is one thing I want to note because I actually had someone ask me this. Um, why are so many retirements, right? And I think early in the season, right before a major, you don't even want to take any chances that you might miss the Aussie. So you're going to see an outsized number of retirements. Like I think Osaka retired in the final. There were a few others I saw where I was like, people are just not going to take chances. So I think there's a lot of that going on. So I wouldn't put too much stock in it that it's going to continue the rest of the year. That being said, with retirements, you saw your boy Opelka, dude. What a fighter! Huge fight for that guy.
I,
What a monster! Like the guy plays four two-set matches, and he's like, I'm done. I can't. Like I'm gassed. It's
I think
like
he was just shocked to getting his serve broken. I honestly, I think it blew his mind. He looked like he came out. He wanted to peacock around sexy Lehechka, and Lehechka said no, sir. And Opelka was like, "I'm gonna take my little Gucci bag and go home." You know what? Fair dues.
yeah, I mean, I'm not. I
The less we talk about Opelka on this show, the better.
it's better. I
I
just can't. It's like it's still, but you know that it was sending me like out of my mind that these people were like, oh man, this guy.
if there's one thing that early season tennis gets, it's a bunch of people that has made it their resolution to use their Twitter page to pretend like they're tennis betting experts by pimping out the long shots they've taken. I'll be glad when we can finally press mute on them and move forward.
There was there was some stuff in there was like these guys are out of their mind. And oh, so speaking of which, out of their mind. I don't know if you were watching any of the women's final that Sabalenka and Kudermetova were in. Polina, younger PK, younger Kudermetova, dude. It was one of those situations where she was just still slapping. She took the first set off Sabalenka, who was like, "You've got to be joking me with this." And like that's the kind of thing that can happen, and with some of these players that just crush the daylights out of the ball you get hot like that, it's just like anyone in form can just show up and just do wild stuff. And like I guess that now it's more common, right? Like bracket technology post the Serena and Lindsay Davenports and Monica Seles of the world's just bashing the ball. I do think there's still some room for a little variety in there. So I hope to see more of that. But watching that match, I was like, oh my God, dude. This is just one way traffic of just bash ball, like harder, harder until like something gives. That was unbelievable. Anyhow. All right, you got anything you want here? I know
Uh,
you have something
I
burning. It's
am
simmering.
chomping at the bit to talk about just how fun it was to watch Mueller play in Hong Kong this weekend. I think if you're ever going to pick a time to win your first tournament, do it at the start of the year. But did he put on a ball striking clinic? Also, probably pulled out some of the top 10 best drop volleys I'd ever seen this weekend. Just stunting on people with his touch.
Were we
But
wrong about Mueller? Were we kind of like, he's okay, and then all of a sudden he's just like playing at a level where you're like,
uh,
wait a minute, this is legitimate ATP level.
I think it's too early to tell. I think if
Okay.
you look at his historic year over year, he's shown that he's a very good ATP pro, but hadn't given us enough consistency to where we could say, okay, this guy's a top 50 caliber player. He'd
Yeah.
always had fits and spurts. I think even last year, if we like traced his ranking back, at one point he dipped outside of the top 100 again and had to work his way back up. playing the challengers and everything.
He's
So I
been
think it
doing
was,
better career high. He did have to go 12-10 in a third set breaker with Kekmanovic in the round of 16 in Hong Kong. So, and that's the kind of match I would have expected him to lose in the past.
I think what I underestimated was maybe his mentality because I think he set a record. He lost the first set in all five of his matches. I think he's one like he
Oh,
joined like an
what?
exclusive club of winners that had lost the first set in every match and came back to win.
Dude, you're right. The first set in every match. That's out of
Yeah, and against
what?
Munar, he was down a set and a break. So he
Hmm.
showed that like he's got some big dog mentality, and we've seen guys take off like this before. I mean, nobody could tell me what a Talon Greek sport was until he won in Chennai, and that's been liftoff for his career as well.
That's right. I forgot about that. Dude, that's a fair thing though. Some of these guys don't have that dog in them, right? Like that want that fight. Like you look at a guy, like I said, like an Opelka. It's like, oh, come on, man. Right? Like I've always wondered with Kyrgios, like, did he have that? But I think I've seen enough that he kind of does. But guys who like actually are just will and just get in and just grind it out. God, I love those guys, dude. And I was actually impressed. I was like, okay, Mueller, dude, you got a little bit of that chomping at the bit here. Go down a set and just grind it back. Because I thought he
Uh,
was getting outplayed by Nishi, and then he just started to play better.
I think it was we did learn something about Nishikori. I think in a best of three event, I'm going to be a little more optimistic betting him. But in a best of five tournament like the Australian Open right around the corner, I'm not seeing him past third, fourth round in the models because what made that match so hard for Nishikori is he was not getting any free points off that serve. And Mueller was just consistently getting into points with him. And we've seen the guys at the top of the game, they can reach back and fire themselves out of trouble. And Nishikori, like towards the end of it, it was like batting practice for Mueller in that match.
Yeah, I agree with that, right? The guys at the top of it, they have an out, right? They have a way that they can like reach into the bag and they have a serve, a pattern, something that they can go to where it's just you can't do anything. And I didn't see Nishi reaching into the bag there to get a lot of that stuff.
Um, and then looking forward, I've got two questions I wanted to run by you.
Ooh, okay.
Davidovich Fokina, do we think he's going to be good this year? He had a he had a what I would consider for a player that's as inconsistent as him, a great result last night against Bautista Agut, somebody who had beat him last year. And then my second question, um, do we think we can trust the walking microwave man of Shapovalov this year? Again, I will put this to you. I did not have him beating Double Z in straight sets the way he did. So both those set off alarm bells because those are matches that I don't think Shapo was winning last year, nor do I think those are matches that Fokina was winning.
I would put more stock in Furkina's win only because I still you know I don't know if I trust Zhang that much, dude. How many matches has he lost in a row? He lost in the Guangzhou final in September to Chilich, and then he lost like 8 matches or 9 out of his last 10 matches. He beat Tiago Montero in the United Cup, and that was it. Like he lost to Chilich, to Davidovich Fokina, Karatsev, Bergs,
Echeverry.
Echeverry. Now losing to Zverev, what can you do about that? But I don't know. I'm just not entirely certain. Like if I trust him either, I think he's a little hot and cold. So I'm not going to put, dude. I don't trust Shapo. I would trust Davidovich Fokino before I trusted Shapo.
What would Shapo have to show you this year to where you'd be like, okay, we can begin to trust him?
I'd have to see a little bit of a mentality change of not just all slap all the time because it just hasn't worked for him, man. He was ranked number 10 in the world 4.5 years ago, and now he's ranked 58. Like you're dropping 60 spots over the years, just like slowly bleeding. He was outside the top 100 at one point last year in October. Before he went and won Belgrade as a qualifier, he was outside the top 100. So like winning Belgrade is probably the first time I looked at something and was like, okay, this is the first time I've seen you win this many matches in a row and actually look focused. Otherwise, every time it gets into the clutch, I'm like, this guy's going to do something stupid and lose the match. So I liked what I saw from him at the end of the year. He looked really good. Losing 2 and 3 to Nishikori is not very good. So losing a bad match, winning a pretty good match, I want to see 3, 4 good matches strung together before I'm like, I'm ready to trust this guy.
Fair enough. I do think he did get one strike on our board of do you have pussycat mentality? Because he got waxed by Nishikori and immediately went to Instagram to let people know, don't worry, I was just sick. I don't normally play this bad. Wait,
Oh
like
my God,
I'm
dude.
paraphrasing, but he put out an Instagram story where I was like, just take the 3-2 loss in the paycheck and move on. Don't try to take away from a
Dude,
poor
that's a problem.
performance.
Tennis players have this like rep where they're pretty whiny. And look, some of that is because there are a lot of Europeans who play. And like, I get that. But like at the same time, dude, this kind of stuff doesn't help. And you know what? I'll touch on one thing because I told you about this and I was going off on it when I was watching Osaka playing and Paul Anacone is there and he was like, so there was she was playing Haley Baptiste had dropped the first set, like playing like she wasn't playing bad. Like Baptiste actually playing well. Who then clearly looked Osaka played better and Baptiste looked to get hurt in the second set. So it's like the start of the third set, and she takes it like a 9 minute injury timeout, right? So they come and she's serving first, Baptiste. So she comes out, holds her serve. Osaka's up 40-love on her serve in the second game and just starts doing Osaka stuff, right? Just bricking balls, going for huge shots. It happens. And Paul Anacone is on the tennis channel, dude. And he's like, well, I'll tell you what, that's still got to be tough. That 9 minute break didn't do her any favors. Bro, that was 2 games ago. She played a game that the other person served and it was a 40-love at her own serve. It has nothing to do with a 9 minute break. It's like as if tennis players don't have a bad enough rep of like, doing the Chapo, I was sick, that then we got Paul Anacone and these tennis commentators and coaches making excuses for people like, just stop it, man. I'm not asking for people to be inside the NBA and just taking dumps all over the product, but like be realistic sometimes. Be like, you know what? This is just a crappy string of points. It has nothing to do with outside factors. It has to do with bad decision making.
Yeah, that is something. I know it's outside our realm as we're the tennis betting podcast, but I would love to see tennis commentators take the baby gloves off of names that have hype around them. If you think back to when we were watching like Serena Williams play, if she comes out and beats somebody 4-4, commentators were acting like she had just played through the Great Plague, and that we're shocked that it was a 4-4 result. Or even like when Federer was struggling, they're like, "Oh, he must be feeling a little under the weather if he's like at 3-all in the first set with this guy." There's like a inherent amount of silent disrespect towards players that they don't know about by trying to say that Osaka, in this case, was being affected by something.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the Federer one used to get it all the time. I even remember he was playing Djokovic in the finals of like the Indian Wells Masters, and he had lost. Like this, is how you know Djokovic got that dog. He had lost. Djokovic had lost the second set, like choked it. And this is twilight of Federer's career, but he's still competitive. And the crowd is Roger going crazy. And Djokovic sits down. He goes like this. He starts clapping. And he gives the thumbs up to the crowd and claps up his hand. I told my mom, I was like, your boy Roger's about to get rocked. She's like, what are you talking about? He won the second set. I was like, he's going to get rocked. I was watching it back later when he got beat 6-1 in the third set. And the commentators are like, oh, all the gas out of the tank here. If he had more, it's just, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a 2 set match in fast
Yeah.
conditions. Like, get, like, these people are out of their mind. These are the same people who are like, duh, can't wait for Opelka to get back to the top 10. Like, get out of here, dude.
I think the day Opelka gets in the top 10, I might call it a day on my tennis watching career.
I, oh man. Hopefully no one that like knows the guys like listen to this because then he's gonna do like a Charles Barkley shouting out the wrong names. He'll be like that, you
and
know,
and Riley, if you do listen, I stand by everything I said. I'm not backing down off this cliff.
he's gonna start calling us by the wrong names. These idiots. Yeah. I just like I don't know a better way to encapsulate it other than just comes out and 1-4 retires in the final. Like, yep, after 4 2 set match, people are like, oh, he's been a
Especially the way
long
you
layoff.
play tennis.
You can't play 4 2 set matches. It's like your whole life as a tennis player. Like Get out
Yeah.
of here, dude. Okay, I can't keep on this Opelka trade, dude. It's gonna go off the rails in flames.
All right,
Oh
looking
God.
forward. Which matches are interesting? Yeah. Like what? Let's get into the betting portion. Who's interesting? Yeah.
So, you know, I was hoping to see the Badosa one who she's gonna play. I watched her and Peyton Stearns last night. Stearns a player I like. I think she's a little overvalued because it's one of those things where it's like I got to see you win some of these matches before I start to buy in. So I was hoping to have a line on Bados in the future. She hasn't played. I have one though. We talked about it before. I like Beatrice Haddad Maya plus 170. She opened plus 190. Obviously, loved it there. I still like it plus 170. This is more a like I don't really trust Madison Keys. Like I'm not I'm not really sure I have in a while. And so they're 2-2 all time. So like they've played before. It's not going to be an easy match. And I just wonder if the line isn't too much here. I just don't get it. For Keys is not the type of person to be winning a bunch of matches in a row. Do I think she's going to drop 2 first rounders? That's the only thing holding me back, but it is plus money, right? So I am being
Yeah.
compensated some for this risk. I don't know. What do you think?
So this is the battle between maybe the two most microwave women on tour. We never know from week to week which Haddad Maya. She feels like somebody when you watch her play and she's flowing that she should be ranked so much higher than what she is and doing better consistently.
Mm.
Um, Keys, we know that there's quality there, but again, it feels like some weeks we've kind of left the racket somewhere else, and you never know. But at plus money, I'm happy to call that one of our best bets for the week.
So here's another one for you, and I hadn't discussed this before because I kind of wanted to spring it on you. You know, I like that. Talking about someone, and there's a reason I brought up Peyton Stearns before is I think she's good but a little overvalued. So Maria Sakkari, right, lost to Stearns in qualifying in 3 sets, and it got in as a lucky loser and is playing Linda Noskova. About minus 195 is about the most I'll take. I definitely think Noskova is going to win the match. I'm just, is 2-1 too much to pay for Noskova, given that I don't really trust Sakkari anymore? Haven't trusted her in quite a while. Because
That
like
would
I,
be
I
a
trust Noskova more.
yeah. I must be stuck in a different era watching Zachary because I still think that she's one of the hardest outs on the WTA tour. Um, and I
Including when
don't.
she loses 2-1 to Jessica Buzas Monero.
Okay, yeah. See, like I said, stuck in a different era. I think sometimes like I'm watching it with the goggles of the past on, and I'm just thinking of the quality that she's shown. Like I know it's there, and you don't forget how to play tennis overnight. Um, but yeah, Noskova in that match I like as well.
I think I'll debate whether or not I put that in there. I get what you're saying. I like that. I'm stuck in a different era. I the other one I was thinking about, I'm mulling it over, was Samsonova and Buzkova. This might be one of those go over in games things because Samsonova likes to go 3 sets, and I like Buzkova. I She's kind of annoying, actually. I think as a player, but I like the way she plays,
Hmm.
where she just kind of grinds, doesn't quit. Her dad was a coach, which I don't know how her dad was a coach and then lets her go with that weird backhand hitch. Like I heard that,
As
I was like,
somebody with
what?
strokes that look like he's an octopus in a phone booth, I know that it is possible for parents
Wait,
just to be like,
was your dad a coach?
loosely formed, yes.
Okay, okay, maybe that's why. I
But he
remember
signed off on technique.
I got mad at my coach years later, and I was like, "How could you have let me walk out the door with a backhand that looks like that, dude? Like, why would you do that to me?" He was like, "I was just happy you were getting it in the court." So
Fair
I don't know
enough.
about. I may go for that one. The other one I like here is Blinkova over Bernarda Pera. I like Pera, I do. I just don't necessarily trust it still. And so they're kind of windy conditions there too in Hobart. I don't know if you know Hobart, but it's the capital of Tasmania. So you're way down there, yeah, on
Hmm.
the island. of Tasmania. So the conditions are a little windy, a little different, and I think someone like Blinkova is just see ball, slap ball. Of course, so is Para. I think that it's a little easier for her to kind of hit through the court. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm not entirely sold on that. I may or may not get there. I think that for sure for me, yeah, we'll go over it. But I think the ones I like, I already said. What about you? I think there's more interesting stuff on the ATP today. I think the WTA will have better stuff tomorrow.
So I'm gonna start with uh the spicy meatball first that I've
Okay,
just
I
seen
like
looking
that.
at it, and I think there's too much value there.
Okay.
I'm looking at Diaz Acosta at plus 390 versus Scam Nori. And I
Let's go.
and I think honestly, I know that they've played on clay and Nori has the up in the head to head, but it was like 7-5 in the third set or something a few years ago. And Facundo's got one of those games that he's not going to go away easy in the breezy conditions of Auckland. I think that I think they've way overvalued, as you like to call him, Scam Nori being the favorite there.
I haven't trusted, when I haven't trusted Scam Nori, I saw him last year on the South American swing and he was struggling. And I haven't
Yeah,
trusted him since then. I think he was playing maybe Mariano Navone in Rio, and he was like clearly from the heat or something was getting to him. And he just didn't want to retire because I don't think he's ever retired a match professionally. And so he just was like trying to cheer himself to victory, but he was just like getting housed, and it was just kind of sad and embarrassing. And I was like, just stop, just retire. This is worse to not have a retirement. And anyone who sees this match be like, what are you
right.
doing? Yeah, and I know that they played in that Buenos Aires match in 2023, and it was super close. And I believe that's the one that Diaz Acosta won, isn't it?
Uh, you might be right. I couldn't remember if Diaz Acosta had pulled it out or had lost
Yeah, he
to
won
him.
Buenos Aires. He beat Juice Man Jari, which is also
There
when
it
I
is.
stopped trusting Jari because I was like, I'm sorry, you beat Alcaraz. And that's why I was like, I'm only going to bet on this guy if he's sipping an espresso because he was sipping an espresso, beats Alcaraz in straight sets, and just like it wasn't the same player against Diaz Acosta. I was like, I can't trust this guy. So,
Yeah, so that's one that I would call my spicy take, and then one that I'm feeling pretty confident about is Boo at plus 110 versus Jan Leonard Struff.
I knew you were gonna bring the boo, the boo business on here. It's
I
funny
just think
because
so.
before you were on here, I told you I was on the opposite end of boo.
So the reason I'm thinking this is we talked about Auckland, and you've touched on it. The conditions are breezy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a controlled. And I think if there was an indoor majors, Jan Leonard Struff might have about five. Like his game is perfect for playing indoors. Like he's high risk, high reward, kind of like the old school throwback. Like he's going to throw in a lot of serve and volley. It's coming forward on everything. And I think if the conditions pick up, Boo's got the kind of game that is just going to annoy everything out of Struff. And Struff has some of the highest error counts on tour. So first match of 2025, I don't know how much that ever factors into something, but I think there's some value in Boo.
Well, didn't Struff play United Cup?
Did he get on the pitch for him? I thought they utilized Zverev more.
I thought maybe I'm gonna look real quick.
That's a mea culpa if he did. I thought they would only
Oh no,
use
he
the
didn't. Yeah,
okay.
it was Davis Cup. I saw him playing. I was like, how?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
Zverev was just like, I lost in the finals at the
Struff. Also, the way he hits forehand. Every time I see him in like outdoor matches, I'm like, how is this guy not breaking the ball more? I also didn't realize Struff's 34, so he's.
Oh, he's not as young as he well, he's another one as the leader of the blonde hair army. Struff is one of the main culprits of the blonde dome. He's had that a few times.
He has. Well, also he was a guy who I think early in his career he was not like he didn't get to be into the top 50
He was definitely a
consistently.
late bloomer. He was more of a double, like he always played singles and doubles, but for a while his best results were on a doubles court. And then the other thing that's held him back is I think he's had a horrendous injury record. It feels like he's missed large chunks of the years through like a various assortment of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm going back to 2016, right? So you're 20, he's 26 at this point. He spent most of the year 100. He got up to 80 to 64 at one point, but most of the year was 91, 100. He had like a big run at Paris Masters. So from the beginning of the year through Paris Masters, he was ranked 106 to 91. So like again, you're 26, 27, and it takes you that long before you kind of start to win and have results. And even then, you're still around 50, 60. It's only recently or in the last few years that he's been doing better. Certainly, Boo on the eye test has the tools to beat him.
Uh,
We talked about it.
no,
I
I
don't know
know.
if I
Like,
trust
and
Boo.
I don't know if anybody watched the tennis TV highlights of Boo versus Borges. I would encourage you do so because Boo hit two of the worst drop shots I think I've ever seen a
That was
professional
total mental
attempt.
break.
Uh,
But in all fairness, that's what I said before is I didn't trust him to close the match out. Not that he doesn't have the skill set to be Borges. He definitely does.
yeah.
And in all
And
fairness,
then,
I did get lucky on that bet. Boo
yeah,
had a match point he should have won it. And then he hit this, and I saw he was shaking his head, and the tennis TV commentator was like, "Oh my, not sure why he's shaking his head there. It's just an awful decision."
And then let's see. I'm looking at here's another one that I want to run by you. And it's an interesting thought experiment of form versus comfort on the court.
Okay.
Navone versus Manarino. Right now, Navone's at plus 150. And I think it's because Navone, if we look at his ranking points, has only ever got anything done on clay. But he is playing a Manarino who might be in the worst form of any professional that's still within the top 110. So are we taking the lack of form for Manarino, or do we want to pick Navone, even though he might only be a clay dog?
So, God, that's funny. When I first saw Navone, he was playing earlier this year. The commentators had said he had played, I kid you not, man, 76 matches at the tour level. 71 of them were on clay.
Doesn't shock me. When you watch him,
And
he's
they were
got
like
that like,
qualifying that
yeah,
the other matches.
but Manarino has been so rancid that if there's going to be a time for Navone to win on a hard court, and also Manarino, I don't even think qualified into the tournament. I think Manarino is a lucky, no, he's a qualifier. I thought he lost. That's how bad his form has been.
Yeah.
Um, no, he is a lucky loser. I gotta trust my gut.
Yeah.
He didn't even qualify into the tournament.
No, I knew he was a lucky loser. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Hold on. Let me look at something real quick. Let's see. You got, yeah, boy. God, I don't trust Manarino. And he was playing like the at minus 180. It's too much.
Yeah.
I think they're giving him the handicap that you were getting, right? Where it's like I seem to be watching him in the past.
Yeah. So I think I would take the pick of Navone at plus 150. I think that's one of my bets here.
Boy, did I the more I look at this one, let me look at Navone's. I wonder if I can look at his career splits on hard, how many matches he played. Okay, that's why. He's 3-12 all time on hard court, which is absolutely wild.
To
Oh,
be
that's the last
46th in the world.
52, I think.
Yeah, to be 46th in the world in that bad. That's why, like, I'm looking at it. I don't think I can endorse it as a McCann best bet, but I do think it's an interesting one because of like the two nuances between the players.
Yeah, he's 5-15 all time. He's lost five in a row. So that's why they're thinking it. I'm trying to think. But he has done stuff like beat Altmaier, beat Darderi, gone 3 sets with Nishikori. Like, so he's done okay. And I remember the Dan Evans match I was watching in the US Open. That's kind of a bad matchup for him. So yeah, and to give you guys an idea, he's 166 and 101 all time on clay. He's played 20 hard. But he even said in an interview I saw that he was like, I need to get better on hard if I want to like get
Stick
better.
around, yeah.
I might still be interested in that, I
Okay,
think.
we'll table that one. I might be. You came to me asking for an endorsement of Shang versus Nishikori. I might be coming to you hat in hand, asking for Peter's
Asking for
endorsement
that.
on that call at the end of the show.
I could get behind that. I mean, I'm actually warming up to both of these that you've kind of, you know, thrown out here early, and I'm about that life. So I'll see. Let me see if there's anything else I have here for the women. There's a few things like I may get behind Emerson Jones plus 375 against Casakina. She was like plus 460 or
Is
something
this going to be
outrageous.
the first Peter spicy pick?
It could be, but she doesn't play till tomorrow, so I think I'm gonna hold off on it. But yeah, I was thinking about it because, dude, she's 16. I was like,
Oh,
whoa, like play because again, something for listeners who don't really understand. And the WTA, you tend to see it with players younger. By the
yeah.
time they're 22, 23, 24, you're like, okay, I see what you have. And that's why, like I said, a player like a Peyton Stearns who's 23, you're like, I should start like this year. I should see you stringing together those matches, winning those ones against like Badosa in 3 sets. Otherwise, I start to think, this is kind of the ceiling of what it's going to be for you. So the men, obviously, we've seen guys like we just talked about Struff, right? 26, 27, having the best results of his career. But for the women, you can see it younger, though. 16 is still potentially unreliable, but she looks good. We'll see if that's a spicy
There's an
one.
Andriva in the world, so I think the old saying is if you're good enough, you're old enough. And I do think at the WTA they do come out firing early doors.
Yeah,
And
way
then
sooner.
I just wanted to let the viewers know, as we're tracking it, Landalus did win his opening round qualifying match. It's important that people know that.
For the Aussie Open.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Just
do they
I'm
have
just
second round qualies up yet, or is it still first round?
I think it's still first round. I still like I know it's not in good fashion to bet on qualifying, but I'm going
It's not.
to during our recording, I'll flag a few players and just give the audience an update if they're developing. Um, and I
I
will be
mean,
watching Leighton Hewitt's son. I think he plays today because I want to see if that guy's going to either need to go straight to college tennis or if he's going to have any juice
who?
down the line. Cruz Hewitt, he got a wild card.
Oh, dude, Leighton Hewitt's kid?
Yeah, and I want to see how he responds after Nick Kyrgios deciding to bombard his recent Instagram post because he happened to take a picture with Sinner.
What? What are these? Hold on. Oh, he's 16. Oh,
Yeah,
he'll play Basilashvili, dude. Oh
uh,
my God. Wait, I didn't see this. Let me see this post. Oh my God, he and Sinner look kind of weirdly similar.
yeah. So he posted. I don't know if the comments have been deleted, but like Kyrgios was spamming it with like cooked posts, like a lot of pictures of syringes. Because Kyrgios, man, who reposts Andrew Tate, is also a drug administrator.
Wait, cooked post? Why? Does he think that Cruz Hewitt is juicing? He's 16.
I think it's more that he's posted with Sinner.
Oh, that Sinner
Yeah,
juices.
and he's kind of gone scorched earth on anybody that still interacts with
Well, in
Yannick.
all fairness, I'll promise you this, dude. Kyrgios is not juiced. You take
No,
one
no,
look at
no,
him,
no.
you're like that guy. But I do think there is an issue where tennis players who are elite at some point in their career will juice a little, and then eventually the ITF is like, listen, you gotta stop that. And so you might have runs of a year and a half, 2 years where you're like unstoppable. And we've talked about this before, where like they'll just get a call, hey, you're going to be tested and you should take a break, and so they do, and that kind of thing. But it's curious, dude.
Uh, and
That's
then
another guy, no fitness for him, dude.
yeah, and then last match I wanted to bring to the table, Hichikata versus Gofan. I wanted to see what the smell test was there. I kind of like the odds for Hichikata. I really do love how his game looks. Um, I can't quite get there because again, living in a different era, I think Gofan was one of the first players I ever watched live at Indian Wells and kind of fell in love with his game, but he's not been the same player the last few years. So I think there's even the market's kind of looking at it with rose tinted glasses.
I think that the thing about someone like Rinky, right? I like using his first name. I know that you were common, but I just think it's it. So first off, he's a lucky loser. So that is the type of thing. He's mostly a challenger player. So I do think there is something in here where it's like you've gotten into an ATP main draw as a lucky loser and you've drawn Goffin. These are the kind of matches that if you want to be a bona fide guy on tour who doesn't have to qualify for these kind of tournaments, these are matches you got to win. And I've noticed before he's come back after losses, right? Like I told you last year, he had that bad loss to Kekmanovic, got to the quarters of a challenger, had a bad loss to Mackenzie McDonald, and then won back-to-back challengers in Sydney and Playford. What a great name, Playford. And he wasn't playing good competition. Like these guys are all ranked outside the top 200. You still got to win like 8, 9, 10 matches in a row to win 2 challengers. So I'm partly thinking that like after losing to Adam Walton in 3 sets, which had got to be a crusher, and I don't like playing armchair psychologist. I gotta think though that he's got to be getting up for Goffin. He's got to be like, this was actually lucky to get in here, and this is a match I can win.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna get behind that one. I was doing research because you told me about it before.
Okay. Well, I'll be bringing that one then to our segment of best bets.
All right, let's. I mean, we might as well get into it right now. We might as
Yeah.
well hit these best bets. So
If it's okay, I'll lead off then.
hit
I've
it, hit
I've
it
got
first.
Hitchikata at plus 125. I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
like
the
that.
best bet. I'm gonna get there with Boo. Um, and I'm going to lean in on Navone.
Boo is plus 105. I actually see Boo is even, so maybe the ether is hearing you
Hmm.
talk about him. Okay, hold on. Let me look at Navone. What is his? Plus 150?
Yeah.
I did. That's the spiciest one. I'll just ride with you on these. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have a
such a
strong enough
weird time of
opinion.
year to bet. And then my big spicy meatball pick is I'm taking Diaz Acosta at plus 390.
I like that. I mean, obviously your spicy picks are different, so I track them differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that. God, as much as it pains me, dude, I do think I actually like this Navone one quite a bit. Even though it's so hard to trust a guy who just hasn't won on hard court. It's like plus 150. I don't know. For me, that's a little too much. I'm kind of getting behind you the more and more I look at that. Okay, so for me, the best bets here, it's gonna be Haddad Maya. I'm just gonna kind of hope that it's the bright Haddad Maya coming out here, and we'll go from there. I'm gonna take Linda. You know, no one. I know no one under the age of like 45 named Linda, and somehow the Czech Republic, 2 people,
Yeah,
Linda.
just keep pumping them out.
I'm like, I don't really understand that. And this one, boy, I'm gonna have to. I think there may be a double play on this Buzkova Samsonova. I think I may go over on the games here, dude. 21 and a
I
half.
that can be your spicy pick or your best bet, however you
I'll
want to
do it in the
label it.
spicy because I haven't done one
Okay.
before. So I want people to know, like, hey, look, this isn't my
This isn't your style. We're not
yeah.
usually the game technicians, but we're gonna do it.
I'm gonna go Buzkova minus 125, and spicy for me will be games over 21 and a half. I may actually parlay that. Okay, I like that. What's your top confidence one in yours? Top confidence.
Boo. I'm in on Boo.
Wow.
I think if he
Coming
doesn't
through
do
with the
this,
boo.
I will come in and mea culpa all over this pod. But I think that
I
he has
don't know if
got
people want to see you do it all over.
but I think he has got I think he's sneaky got this one in the bag. And then I will be interested to talk. I'm going to make it a point to watch that Navone match because I would like to come back on the pod afterwards and talk about what we saw there. Because that'll be a fascinating
I
little
think that one
discussion.
I'm actually going to sit down and watch. I think I have to, right? Because I'm just curious. Like I think that honestly, Manarino might be at the cooked point of his career, and if
Uh,
he's losing this match, I think that he is going to be cooked, and I think it's going to be hard to bet on him going forward because or against him because he'll be a dog in like every match.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 36, dude. Like
No, I know.
he's
Like, there's always going to be. He had that weird out of nowhere, like everything came together. But there's always going to be a diminishing point of returns for somebody his size, age, and the way that he plays tennis.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the one thing is I like the look of Boo, dude. The sleeveless, the
That
headband.
got a nice set of biceps on him. Good little headband action.
I
Uh,
like that. What about Vukic Garone?
the last I looked, I didn't quite love the odds, but if I had to
Okay.
sit down, I think I would back your own to win that match.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at when some of these matches start on what court they're on. So, I can watch some of these and see. I'll be able to watch it. Yeah, for me, it's gonna be Noskova. Um, I'm just definitely gonna trust. I just don't trust
And then
Zachary.
one more interesting question here before we finish. I'm looking at Mueller at plus 310. Do we think he's got enough gas in the tank there to test Mensich, or do you think stay as far away, don't get sucked into the just won a title phenomenon?
When does he play?
9:30?
Today was
Yeah.
hmm. He was special entry, so he wanted to be here. You know, he might be feeling like he's just so hyped. And Womensik's last match was that frosty handshake post loss with GMP. So I don't know if he's like tilted or if he's frustrated and he's going to go take it out on Mueller.
Yeah, he did get to the doubles final. I don't know, or doubles semi. So I don't know. He did have some matches after that because he got revenge on GMP because he beat him in doubles.
That's fair.
Which was an interesting one. I don't know if there's any value there, but it's definitely one. If you're feeling flamboyant and want to take a flyer, the bet on the guy that's just won a tournament's never too bad of a strategy.
That's fair. Hopefully they broadcast the grandstand matches on tennis TV. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Those matches start at 2:30, dude. You don't have to wait very long for that. Yeah, you can put that in a spicy matchup if you want.
How many? Yeah, toss it in there for
You
me.
get two. Okay, so plus 390 Diaz Acosta. Just be careful. Don't go, 0 and 10 on your
Yeah,
matchups and then
yeah.
hit a Riley Opelka and be like, I told you. I done told you. Okay. Okay, so I'll recap it real quick. You got Hinchikata, Boo, and Navone, number one confidence, Boo. And then I got Haddad Mayanovskova, Booskova, number one confidence for me is Booskova. And if you're feeling nasty, we got the over 21 and a half games on Booskova and Samsonova. And then you also have plus 390 Diaz Acosta, which I like. I think I'm actually gonna get a little action on that. And then plus 310 on Mueller. So that's it. Don't want it to run too long here. That was a good episode. You know, good luck when you get to the window.
Talk to you guys later.